Then we will open meeting tonight. Roll call shows all counselors are present. The next agenda item is agenda review. I don't believe we have anything to add to the agenda. So moving on to approval of minutes of June 15th and June 29th, 2020, as they were revised earlier today. I think everybody saw a copy. So I'll take a motion to move the approval of the minutes.
Move to approve. Second.
Great. If there's no further discussion, I'll take a vote on the approval of the minutes, or actually Nancy will take a vote. Nancy, can you take a vote?
Yep.
Thanks.
Yes, yes, had to get organized, sorry.
No problem.
Councilor Coons?
In favor?
Councilor Osher?
In favor?
Councilor Perry?
In favor.
Councilor Maynard?
In favor?
Councilor Gardner?
In favor?
Councilor Robertson?
In favor.
And Councilor Grenier?
Favor?
Great, and the vote is 7 in favor and there were none opposed.
Thank you, Nancy. We'll move on to public hearings. The public hearing A, to consider a Class 1 malt, spirituous, and vinous liquor license and vitulers license for ZRKM LLC, doing business as Chacarita, 2 Mill Street. Dave?
Hi, good afternoon, folks. I'm Dave Mylan, the Director of Community Development, and I am here to report that staff has reviewed the application, has done the inspections, and all property taxes and sewer fees assessed to the applicant for this location have been paid, so the staff is recommending approval.
Great, thank you. Because it's a public hearing, are we doing it by chat, or Belle's got to open anybody?
We have one active participant and no hands raised.
Okay. So then I will close public hearing A and move on to acknowledgements by council members. I'll just start in the where I can see you, and Terry, your number first.
Oh, yay. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of, I just kind of put it out there that through this crazy time of year, or through the whole year, how crazy it's been, and having to navigate and kind of spin on our heads a bit, and also have other things kind of pop into the equation in our community. I know that I acknowledge a lot of what the staff has to go through, but I also kind of want to just take a moment and say, we also have, for our community, we have some amazing counselors that really have taken this and done a great job with it, and for the most part have been really amazing to work with. So I'd like to acknowledge the counselors for all the hard work and effort with everything being thrown at us over the past few months.
Thank you. We'll accept that. Megan?
Yes, I would like to use my time in acknowledgements tonight to acknowledge my daughter, Ella. Today is her birthday. I'm here in this council meeting instead of hanging out with her, but I'm sure she's actively engaged in something more exciting than mom. So, so yeah, I'd like to acknowledge her.
Congratulations. Cheryl?
Yeah, I'd like to acknowledge our 2 council members who are currently running for a state office, and good luck to both of you tomorrow. Also, I really appreciate our local business people enforcing, and I don't like the word enforce, but helping people to understand the importance of masking, of wearing masks in our stores and in our communities. And I hope we can keep that going through the arrival of our or college students when they get here. So thank you so much, and thank you to all the community members who see the value in you know, respecting each other and wearing masks. I saw a lot more today than I have in a really long time. So I was really appreciative. Thank you.
Sam?
Yeah, sure. I'm just going to echo what everyone said already. Yay, council, great work. Yay, community, great work. Happy birthday, Ella, great work. Do please pass on, you know, birthday greetings from Castine's dad. I'm sure Castine would send them too. But I do just want to acknowledge it. Like Terry said, it's been kind of crazy right now. We are in summer. It's beautiful right now. You know, gardens are going great. Flowers are everywhere. But the community has come together during this time. And I really, I just appreciate that. My personal community here in the Salem neighborhood is wonderful. And I know it's true with I'm assuming every community here in Orono. So hats off to everyone who's been positive in this, and I hope we can continue that. And yes, best of luck both to Lori and to Megan tomorrow. So cheers, yay us.
Lori?
I want to acknowledge the staff that have been posting on Facebook about voting, and also our clerk who has been getting the absentee ballots out, and we've had more absentee ballots requested in Orono, just around the state, more absentee ballots than ever. And I think it's really exciting that so many people are involved in the process of voting. And so I want to acknowledge that the staff has done a great job in getting those ballots out. And also I'm wondering how many people are going to be there tomorrow that were voting in the town office when there's so much more excitement about voting than there's been in a previous student primary. So I'm sending my good energy towards the staff for the big day they're going to have tomorrow.
Thank you. Tom?
I'd just like to add on to Terry's acknowledgement. I'd like to give a special acknowledgement to Cindy, our council chair. I really have come to appreciate all the time outside of our regular meetings that Cindy spends working with Sophie on some of the issues before the council. So thank you very much for all your work.
Well, thank you very much, Tom. Oh, thank you, Terry. And I would just like to remind folks that tomorrow is voting day. If you haven't, you can drop off your absentee ballot tomorrow as well. And voting in the and I did my part last week. I registered 3 cars and a motorcycle, so I balanced the budget on my own.
Cindy, may I also just add, I didn't say it during my portion because I wasn't sure if anyone else kind of wanted to acknowledge the passing of Judy Matea unexpectedly this past month. She worked at Cutler Health Center for 42 years. Her husband, Phil Matea, is of course a well-known figure. It was unexpected, and it's a loss for our community. But yeah.
Thank you. Should we move on to the consent agenda?
There was a note that said we should remind people that they can register to vote tomorrow. So if you have not registered to vote, you can still go in and register on voting day. What it actually said is you can still absentee ballot, but I think that it being that the doors of the office are closed today, I think it would be called just registering tomorrow to vote, or you can go in and vote tomorrow.
Can I just clarify that?
Go ahead, Belle. I was going to say that.
Go ahead, Bill.
So you can indeed register to vote tomorrow, but you are still able to request an absentee ballot today and tomorrow. This is unusual. Typically, the absentee ballot request period closes on the Thursday before the election, but due to the unusual circumstances, you're able to request an absentee ballot right up through election day. The absentee ballot must be returned by 8 p.m. tomorrow night in order to be counted. We have the drop box outside at the town office, and also you're able to bring the absentee ballot to the polls. We will have a box of absentee ballot request forms outside of the polls tomorrow. So if you would prefer not to come in and go through the voting process, you are able to do that. And there'll be instructions on how to return that and get your absentee ballot.
Thank you very much. That was very helpful. And I'd also like to add that not only is it for state rep primary, but it's also the school referendum for budget. Moving on to the consent agenda. I'll take a motion to move the.
Cindy, can we go to unfinished business according to the agenda? I have one thing I wanted to bring up.
Sure. I think it's not unfinished business, but Sophie, you can correct me if I'm
just not quite sure where to put this.
So I think Sam is talking about the DOT guidance.
No, it's
Yes.
talking about communication.
That would not be
Okay,
unfinished.
fine.
Item of concern, maybe, Sam?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
okay. All right, so we'll go back to the consent agenda again. If I could get a motion, please.
Move approval.
Second.
All right. Nancy, will you take a vote on the consent agenda, please? Okay. Nance, would you take a vote on the consent agenda?
We're working on her microphone. Hold on.
Okay.
Nancy will be speaking from the town of Orono picture.
So, Councilor Coates,
In favor?
Councilor Osher,
Favor?
Councilor Perry,
In favor.
Councilor Maynard,
In favor?
Councilor Gardner,
In favor?
Councilor Robertson,
In favor.
and Councilor Grenier.
In favor?
And the vote is 7 in favor, and there were none opposed.
Great, thank you, Nance. All right, we'll move on to new business. Order 20-120, order creating a special ad hoc committee of the town council focused on the environment and matters that impact the environment, with an initial charge to develop a draft comprehensive plan for council consideration that would provide guidance for policy and operational decision makers related to decreasing Orono's environmental footprint and increasing its ability to withstand the impacts of climate change. Appointing Councilor Robertson as the chair of this special environment committee, and in accordance with Town of Orono ordinances section 2-30B, authorizing the council chair to appoint up to 1 additional council member and community experts to serve on said committee. I'll take a motion
So moved?
and a second. Sophie, is this you or? Wait,
Cheryl, I don't know if you want me to set this up or if you want to talk about the general idea and then I could talk a little bit about the structure.
Okay, we could do that. However you want to, whatever.
Why don't you start? I bet you
Okay.
can probably do it all.
Okay. Sophie and I have been in conversation for several months now. I think you guys remember when I pulled the discussion because I thought it would be too long to have it at one meeting that we were at or workshop. I feel sometimes that there's a gap between issues that pertain kind of almost solely to the environment, such as like a stewardship bill or landfill issues, water quality issues, things like that, that sometimes overlap with other committees, but it doesn't always get its own vetting. So, so the proposal that we have, or the proposal that we've been kind of talking about and brainstorming and trying to set something up, is really about looking at issues, and it's looking at issues and concerns that we have, policy, operational practices that would impact Orono's environment. And it's really about Orono. It's really, I'm really interested in concern. It's not a concern. I'm interested in tailoring this to Orono. You know, nobody else, but really looking at our river and looking at, you know, like I said, some of the things that we kind of gloss over sometimes. And I would like this to be a group of people, and I'm going to use the term experts, but people who are probably more informed than I am scientifically in our community. And those would be people pretty much from the university, or people who are interested, it doesn't have to be from the university, to provide some guidance, to set up a framework, to set up a document, a comprehensive plan, as it were, that would act as a tool that might inform us you know, down the road. This is just a, you know, we're piloting this, but we're really looking at setting up a really nice comprehensive plan for the community that revolves around or our environmental footprint. At some point, I'd like to see this document inform maybe some reduction strategies. We do it already with our greenhouse gas emissions. Probably we don't call it that, but we call it bike trails and walkability, things like that. And that's kind of where that overlap sometimes comes in. But I'm also looking at promoting maybe green building when we have development coming in, improving our recycling projects. I've got, and Sophie mentioned this too, and another community is doing this, finding some way to put in electric car plug-ins into our parking lots is more, and you know, encouraging more hybrid electric use. I'd like to see this this task align with legislation around stewardship, and that's something that's happening. One of our hopefully one of our nominees is involved with the Maine Climate Council, and they've been working for several months and have put together recommendations for municipalities when they start looking at some of these things. It's new. The National Resources Council of Maine just sent me a whole spreadsheet of municipalities that have similar committees that are called different things. So it's kind of a baby step kind of thing, but I'm really interested in finding a way to close some of those gaps when they do occur. And also we look at some climate change issues in our town that wind is one of them, heat might be one of them, that impact our water quality, you know, our water facility, and wind and the storm systems. The stormwater is also something that's impacted by climate change. So long story short, this is why I wanted to cut this meeting short the last time, is really just looking at how we can move forward as a community, and really think about what we do as a community as far as environmental stewardship, I guess is a good way to say that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I will take questions.
Why don't Sophie just explain the makeup a little bit, or did she?
So I think the structure is 2 counselors and staff as needed. I think right now we're looking at Public Works, WPCF, our assistant town manager, me, our economic development director, and our town planner as we need them. And then some citizen experts to help us better understand. And Cheryl had suggested that we start by meeting with staff and really understanding the operational pieces and places that maybe staff has seen, or issues that staff is encountering. I think that this gives an opportunity for a bit of inventory and analysis, much like you would see in the comp plan. And then for us to pick out the goals that we have moving forward. I think one of the things that's been so hard is that a lot of environmental initiatives, while many of them fit right in with our overall views on the environment, are very task driven as opposed to part of a plan to move things forward. And so they kind of get pushed off to the side because we're so busy with the plan. And to have a counselor who's actually willing to roll up her sleeves and work on a plan, I think is a good thing. And it's not a place, this particular issue is a lot broader than the operations of any one department. So I think it's important to have some expertise to help us move this forward. And we can't afford it. And we have this wonderful backyard with lots of people that know a lot about the environment.
So Sophie, let me ask you this. So if there's only 2 counselors on it, then it doesn't really have to be noticed. So if other counselors are interested, they're not going as a counselor. Is that correct?
So, no. The reason that I was thinking we would keep it at 2 is so that it doesn't have to be a big public meeting, especially where what we're trying to do is come up with the basis for a plan that ultimately will be dissected and discussed in a very public setting. If you add a 3rd counselor, it is a public meeting, even if it's not a quorum of council. So I would suggest that if we have more than 2 counselors that want to be on it, that we just would consider this a public meeting that would be subject to all the public notice and provisions. So you probably wouldn't have it at 7 o'clock in the morning and, that kind of stuff.
Anybody else have questions or comments?
I think that I think it's great. We our staff has long sort of been guided by various makeups of different councils who all have similar goals living in this community. Longstanding policies about operational practices that are taking into consideration environmental impact and stewardship. So it's not that the town hasn't been keeping an eye on these issues, but this is really great to be able to have a framework, a formal framework to guide staff decisions, and also just to have experts at our fingertips, which takes work off staff's plate, which, staff time equals taxpayer dollars. So I'm really happy anytime there are community citizens who want to be engaged and offer their expertise to help, in our overall mission.
I like the idea of this. I agree with what Meg just said. This is really an important thing, and it has been going on, but it'll be great to have it sort of consolidated. Also, just to acknowledge the work that Cheryl's done to sort of formulate this, working with Sophie and probably Cindy, I'm assuming, to make all this work. So it's not just a willy-nilly thing that's like, ooh, let's make a club, because I don't really want to set a precedence on sort of like, hey, let's have another committee, because my initial feeling is like, another committee, great, death by committee, here we go. But it's like, but this is really important, and there was a lot of work done in this whole thing to really put that together, if that makes sense. But anyway, so I do, giving it much thought, I think it's a great idea, and I think it's important, and its time is beyond come for this.
Thank you, Sam. And sometimes I feel like, I might just be open and honest here, that there's just loose threads everywhere because I'm really trying to pull in a lot of information from a lot of different, and I'm really seriously looking at what other communities are doing as well, so that we can model. I hate reinventing the wheel. It doesn't work for me. So but I am looking at other communities and seeing what they're doing, and nobody's really doing anything the same way. So so this will be a good opportunity to tailor this to Orono's needs. And I'm looking forward to talking to the staff because I really want to know what kind of things they bump into sometimes, you know, that they have questions about that, that we might be able to forage out for them in a probably a more strategic way, I guess would be a good way to say that. So thank you.
Anyone else?
I even if it's only 2 counselors that actually go to it, I still love the idea of it being advertised in advance so that people from the community who wanted to watch the communication could be involved, because we've had such great response from being available by Zoom and Facebook Live to our constituents. And I think that getting people engaged in our community is a great thing. And we do have, you know, this flagship university with a fabulous environmental science program. So I think students, postdocs, people who are graduates from UMaine, in addition to the faculty and staff there, might have interest or input that making the announcement about when the meetings will occur and making them in a more public way would be of benefit.
I think, Lori, that would be a next step.
Great. I'm excited about this. I think that there's been a lot of items that have come up, and like you said, Cheryl, there's just strings that you'd like to pull together, and also give some things in depth, and even financial, a chance to look at financial ability and options, and to maybe there's some grants out there we don't know about or something like that. So. If no one else has anything else to comment, I will ask Nancy to take a vote.
Councillor Kuntz,
In favor?
Councillor Osher,
Favor?
Councillor Perry,
In favor?
Councillor Maynard,
In favor?
Councillor Gardner,
In favor?
Councillor Robertson,
In favor.
and Councillor Grenier.
In favor.
And the vote is 7 in favor, and there were none opposed.
Great. Thank you very much. Move on to Order 20-121, order adopting a 6-month moratorium ordinance on commercial solar projects to regulate large-scale solar facilities, not social, solar facilities. I'll take a motion, please.
So moved.
Move. Second.
Great. Sophie?
Me. So we've talked to council a couple of times about this. We had an inquiry with a large-scale commercial solar project, and what we learned from that initial inquiry is that we do not have ordinances in place that really look at regulating or helping us regulate large-scale commercial endeavors, most specifically around site plan reviews. So currently, if an individual wants to put solar up in their on their property for their home, they come in and they pull an electric permit for the installation, and code enforcement goes out, takes a look at it, makes sure it's being installed by somebody who knows what they're doing and is properly licensed. And then we go on to the next thing. When you're looking at large scale, especially ground arrays, you're gonna start to run into some site plan issues that currently we have no mechanism to get it in front of the planning board. So the goal that we have here is to prohibit these large scale commercial installations, to allow staff to work with council to create some guidance for the planning board to permit these large scale commercial projects. When we look at this moratorium, if you recall it went through public hearing. We didn't receive any comments on it. The duration would be for 6 months, with the idea that if we could get regulation in place prior to that, we would pull back the ordinance. We would allow, we pull back the ordinance, the moratorium at that point. So right now it would be in full force and effect at maximum till January 9th, 2021. The other thing that is a wrinkle here is that we actually have an individual who has put a permit in place for a commercial solar project, but it is not large scale. It is actually quite small scale, which is why if you look at the retroactive language in section, I was just looking for it, section 5, the applicability, we reach back to close of business, or not even close of business, to July 11th. We had one application pending at that point, and it is one that code enforcement feels very confident can be permitted with an electric permit the way we would normally do it. But nobody else would be able to come forward at this point.
Sophie, what I have section 7, I have the definitions of large scale, but what would differentiate this person's permit over large scale?
I'm going to give this a try. My understanding is a residential permit is one that is putting enough infrastructure to manage your residential personal needs, as opposed to enough infrastructure so that you're selling credit out onto the grid to then credit multiple other accounts in your name. Hey, looks like I had it right. And so we actually sent code out to when this permit came in, and because the last thing I want to do is take something that had been in the works for a resident of our community that they'd already spent money to get to this point, and then say, we're just going to sweep you up in red tape. So we went out, we took a look at the site, and there is nothing that we need to worry about with regard to site plan in this particular circumstance. What makes it commercial is the fact that it's serving a rental property and with credit to other rental properties that this person owns. So I think it would be a mistake to go retroactive all the way back to when we first had these discussions, because that would hold this project off a year.
Thank you, Sophie.
So if I understand it correctly, then once we put this moratorium in place, if we have a commercial business that wants to put solar on their roof, they could come in and talk about whether it rises to the level of a large scale?
I think so. I think that if you're a commercial business and you're putting solar on your roof to manage that one building, I think we have permitted things like that as under a residential permit before. I don't think we would do anything different. I think what we're looking at are the acre, like you have a 3-acre ground array that clearly causes changes in the landscape. That's what we're looking at. And we hope to start the conversation on Thursday afternoon, if the Community Development Committee Chair agrees, on solar. So to kind of get everybody in the same place, and then begin, to get the feedback from council as to what they'd like to see for regulations. And so I would anticipate us being back to council with some solid language just in the next month or so. And Dave agrees, so we're good.
2 thumbs up, no less. Anyone else have any questions or comments? No? No? All right, then Nancy, I will ask for, if you would take the vote, please.
Counselor Coop,
In favor?
Counselor Osher,
In favor?
Counselor Perry,
Favor.
Counselor Maynard,
In favor?
Counselor Gardner,
In favor?
Counselor Robertson,
In favor?
Counselor Grenier.
In favor.
And the vote is 7 in favor, and there were no one was opposed.
Thank
I
you,
always
ladies and
like it
gentlemen.
when somebody pops up on the screen that was just a black box before. All right, moving on to Order 20-122. Order authorizing the town manager to make necessary budget adjustments and expend up to $141,500 from the Capital Infrastructure Reserve for the following projects: Harrison Avenue, $20,000, Riverdale Drive, $8,500, streetlights, $31,000, Gardner Road, $60,000, Maxfield Drive, $7,000, Signal I-95, $15,000. So I'll take a motion, please.
So moved.
Second?
All right, and Sophie, I'll hand it to you or Rob.
Rob, are you okay with this, or do you need me to?
Yeah, sure. The projects in that list are projects that were either funded or partially funded in previous fiscal years that are incomplete or haven't been started yet. The only exception to that is the signal project at the Stillwater and I-95 intersection, where we had a lightning strike on July 3rd that caused some pretty significant damage. We've completed the repairs. We're not exactly sure what the total expenses are going to look like there, but it's going to be roughly between 10 and 15,000 that we'll need to cover out of the reserve. The other projects, Harrison Avenue is about half done. We started that last fall, and the 20,000 we need there will cover finishing the sidewalk and a little bit of tree work and the surface pavement. Gardner Road is also underway. We focused on what used to be the gravel section of Gardner Road last year, and the 60,000 requested from the reserve for this year will finish the surface pavement on the newly constructed piece, as well as curb and pavement and some drainage issues on the part that's existing, that's paved now. The other 3 projects, Riverdale, Maxfield, the other 2 are paving projects. Riverdale and Maxfield are just basic shim and overlays that are pretty much ready to go whenever we're ready. And the additional funds for the streetlight project is the funds to cover the change in the contract that council approved a while back that changed our scope on the decorative lights downtown from a retrofit to full replacement. Those fixtures are in, and actually am expecting the contractor to return sometime this month to complete that project.
Great, thanks, Rob. Does anybody have any questions or comments? So the signal on I-95, do we get any insurance coverage or anything for that?
Bell and I are exploring that. Since it was a lightning strike, we think that it might be, but I don't know, Sophie, I don't know if you have an update on that or not.
No, we haven't heard
Either
back
way,
yet.
yeah, either way, we would need to expense those costs for the repairs and then get reimbursed through the insurance.
Yep. Makes sense.
And if that happens, we would just put the reimbursement funds back in the reserve, I would assume.
Okay, great. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
Well, that funding for the streetlight, that will complete the streetlight project?
Yes.
Anything else? Seeing no one else, I will ask Nancy to take a vote, please.
Counselor Coons,
In favor?
Counselor Osha,
Favor?
Counselor Perry,
In favor.
Counselor Maynard,
In favor?
Counselor Gardner,
In favor?
Counselor Robertson,
In favor?
and Counselor Grenier.
In favor.
And the vote is 7 in favor, and there were none opposed.
Great, thank you, Nan. 3, order awarding a contract for hot mixed asphalt paving services to Wellman Paving LLC of Winterport in the amount of $72.77 ton for hot mix asphalt in place for approximately 3,555 tons or $258,697.35 estimated for 2020 construction season, including projects on Forest Avenue, Godfrey Drive, Myrtle Street, Juniper Street, Harrison Avenue, Gardner Road, Riverdale Drive, and Maxfield Drive. I will take a motion, please.
Move approval.
Second.
All right. Rob?
Yeah, so on July 1st, we received 7 bids for our paving contract this year, which was represents quite a bit of interest. Pricing ranged from as high as $103 a ton to our low bidder Wellman Paving at $72.77, which incidentally was very close to the next highest bidder at $73 a ton. So some pretty close bidding there. But Wellman is a pretty well-known contractor in our area, and they've got DOT as well as municipal experience. So I'm confident they're able to complete our work. The work that's included in that is all the paving for this construction season, 2020 construction season. So in addition to the project that we talked about in the previous order, Forest Avenue and Godfrey Drive are included in that, which adds up to quite a bit of work. The lower bid price, which is lower than I had budgeted for, allows us to expand the Forest Avenue contract scope a little bit, and hopefully be able to include sidewalk improvements on the piece that we will be paving. I've got to get a quote for curb, but I think it should work out that we can squeeze that work in addition to the pavement surface work. And then Godfrey Drive, like we talked about during the budget process, is a pretty straightforward shim and overlay project.
So I just have one question, and it's okay. So Harrison, Gardner, Riverdale, and Maxville, this is in addition to, correct? The order 2122. This money is in addition to that?
No.
Okay.
No, so the order above is where you got the money, Cheryl, for those projects. Some of those projects are funded through tax increment financing districts, so they already have a budget and an order approving them. The $258,697 is simply award. That's not additional money. It's how we're going to use the money that's already been budgeted. Got it?
That was my question.
Yep.
Thank you.
Rob, I do have a question. Is there any concern about doing Godfrey Drive during the construction period at the schools?
Godfrey Drive.
Yeah.
Godfrey Drive is Bennick to Stillwater,
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
not Goodrich.
I
Yeah,
was thinking Goodrich. Yep.
we,
And Godfrey Drive badly needs it.
yes, we do have a project on Westwood Drive that we're holding. That's due to be, well, you provided a little bit of funding to do some clearing and whatnot there, but we're holding that until that school project is done.
Good.
Anyone else have any questions or comments? Seeing none. Nancy, will you take a roll call vote, please?
Counselor Coons?
In favor?
Counselor Osher?
Favor?
Counselor Perry?
In favor.
Counselor Maynard?
In favor?
Counselor Gardner?
In favor?
Counselor Robertson?
In favor.
And Counselor Grenier?
In favor.
And the vote is 7 in favor, and there were none opposed.
All right, thank you very much.
If I could just add, I'll be, now that we've approved the contract and the budgets for the projects, I'll be sending out letters to all the affected residents so that they get details on the schedule and the scope of those projects. Or if anyone has any questions, they can feel free to contact me.
Fantastic, thank you. Order 20-124, order awarding the bid for a medium-duty dump body for the 2004 International to F3 MFG of Waterville for $10,794 to be drawn from the approved FY21 capital equipment budget. I'll take a motion, please.
Move approval.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. Rob?
Yeah, so these funds were approved as part of the capital equipment investment plan for this fiscal year. The 2004 International is a pretty good truck. It is our first off the bench, I would say, in winter storms, and it gets a lot of use to support the efforts in the winter, as well as we try to use it all summer long. The body is, frankly, is falling apart. I had to take the truck out of service because it was in two pieces. Replacing the body will give us 4 or 5 more years on the truck. The capital plan calls for replacement of this truck I believe, in 5 years from now. It's at 24, 5. And so this aluminum body will allow us to move from the old truck to the new truck, which will save us some money down the road too for outfitting the next truck.
Great. And this is a brand new body?
Yes, we're in the process right now of removing the old body and reconditioning the frame of the truck, getting it all ready to go. And we'll send it down to F3 to have the installation done. And we should have it back in a couple months, just, in plenty of time for winter.
I certainly appreciate the picture. It removes any question of us needing this, so.
Yeah, like I said, we had to kind of weld the body together so we could get it off the truck in one piece. It was coming apart, but it does highlight the expanded, the ability for our staff to really use all of their talents with this new facility that we have. The crane in our old shop, we wouldn't have been able to do this. So really good opportunity to use all of our talents.
I like the reduce, reuse, recycle approach.
Okay, does anyone else have any other questions or comments? Hearing none. Nancy, will you take a vote, please?
Counselor Coons?
In favor?
Counselor Osher?
In favor?
Counselor Perry,
In favor?
Counselor Maynard,
In favor?
Counselor Gardner,
In favor?
Counselor Robertson,
In favor?
Counselor Grenier.
In favor.
And the vote is 7 in favor, and there were none opposed.
Great, thank you, Nancy. The next item is council committee and representative reports. Does the comp plan want to report?
Sure. Well, most of us actually were at this meeting, but it's always good to give a quick little reminder for folks watching. We talked in that meeting, picking up an item we'd been working on back in February before we started a Zoom meeting for safety. Talking about the Village Residential Overlay District, we heard a presentation from our town planner describing a proposal to talk about sort of creating a transitional area from the Village Commercial District into what is currently MDR, but right next to Mill Street Village Commercial. We talked about an overlay that would allow maybe an opportunity for smaller lot sizes and a mixed use residential commercial scheme, and then also looking at the MDR lot size requirements. So in general, council was interested in this proposal. And so the next steps are going to be to really fine tune some of those ideas and make sure that we go into the process of getting public feedback, much like we did with the Park Street Corridor project. So that's that. I also have a quick little update about the subcommittee that Terry and I are working on for Pride recognition. So we did meet with Sophie to just start sketching out some details, and she's going to talk about crosswalks later. I just found out about this, the details of this a few moments before the meeting, so forgive me, I'm not ambushing you, but putting you on the spot a little bit, but I'm sure folks will be interested in it. So we are going to be featured in the Pride Across Maine Pride Passport for the month of August. So for folks who don't know, Pride Across Maine is a collaboration from organizers around the state coming together for what has been a whole summer full of Pride recognition events all around the state, bringing people together in this socially distanced time. It's been amazing. So our Orono Pride Zoo is going to be featured on the passport. Our local business community members and organizations have happily agreed to keep up all of their decorations and window paintings. And so we are going to be on that passport. So those are going to be across the state, areas that are sort of local landmarks in every community that are of interest to LGBTQ+ people. So it's a great way to sort of bring people into Orono and into our downtown business community in a safe way, and kind of highlight the work that we've been doing as a community this summer, which is wonderful. So what they're hoping to put on the passport for each landmark is to have sort of a photo of some local leaders that are connected to what's happening in that town for Pride celebration, and be able to have a little write-up with it, and then a contact information piece so that anyone coming to the area can kind of, you know, contact that person. So I was asked by some folks if the council would be willing to, with masks on and distanced, to pose for a photo with the giraffe to be on the passport, which I think would be wonderful. So any counselors who are interested in doing that. There was also the suggestion that we might wear or carry, in the case of coffee mugs or tote bags, some of the giraffe, we're keeping the Giraffe Susan merchandise. I have lots of extra if anyone needs to borrow anything. So I'm sorry, again, I'm kind of throwing this, you know, at you at the last minute, but I just found out about it. But I think it would be really great if council could participate in that. So I think, I don't know if there is a hard and fast deadline, but I know that Ash was telling me, like, hopefully by Wednesday. So I know that's really short notice, but we can kind of chit chat over email and see if we can set up a time that all of us can meet with our masks and our giraffe t-shirts on.
Sounds
I'm-
awesome.
I'll even do it in drag, but I'm not going to shave my beard.
I don't, what was that, Sophie? Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
We can.
Yay! So I'm wondering, could we do maybe a doodle? And I've got a couple people here who are photographers, so we could get you some high quality pictures. We could do a doodle to see who could meet. I don't have any, we're keeping the Giraffe Susan mugs or shirts, but I can help with the rest of it if that would be helpful.
Yes, I have lots of extra, and I know Cammie and Ash have lots of extra, tote bags. I have some stickers as well. So if you don't already have your merch, then we can help you out.
Awesome.
Great. All right, so we'll look forward to the doodle. Terry, did your meeting, your committee meet yet?
We meet this Thursday, so
Okay.
they'll be the first back from, first for me also, so
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Cheryl, do you have anything?
I kind of just want to put a shout out. So since we're forming a committee, I was thinking that if there's anyone who is interested in doing this that's out there right now, like Lori said, graduate students or people from the university, somebody who's interested in being part of, writing this document, to either get in touch with you, Cindy, or me, or Sophie. We have some ideas, and we have some people that we've been talking to, but everyone's welcome. So I'd like to see, if anyone's interested that's out there right now. That's
Okay.
my first announcement.
Tom, do you have anything to report? No.
We have not met since our last meeting.
Okay. Lori, do you have anything to report? Nope. Sam?
Nope.
Oh, okay. So we'll move on to future agenda items and items of concern. And I'll just start at the top of the screen again. Terry, do you have anything to report?
No, I don't.
Okay. Cheryl? Nope. Tom?
No.
Megan? Lori? Nope. Sam, this would be now.
Oh, yeah, no. I saw it coming. Thanks. Yeah, just want to bring this up that last week I know we had a meeting scheduled for Monday, and then because many of us weren't available for that, it was canceled for Monday and postponed until Thursday. It was rescheduled, and I was contacted by a couple of people who failed to see that notice, or because it happened very last minute, were waiting for the Zoom thing to open and it just never did. And so there was some confusion about that. I know we normally do a really great job about getting that word out. I just want to make sure that we have communication set up and that we can avoid this happening again. And also, if people are not aware of the different ways they can sign in and subscribe to get notices here, just make sure that they do. So Sophie, I'm going to turn this over to you. We chatted a little bit about this earlier, and again, not finding fault on anybody. I just want to make sure that that we do get the word out in a really easy to perceive way.
So let me just run down how we put the word out, and then I can also walk people through how to sign up. So we ran an alert banner on the town website, which means it's across the top of every page of the website, no matter how you link into the website. When we run an alert banner, it creates an automatic email or text notice. So people who have signed up to receive notices from the town got a text or an email, depending on what their preference was. The agenda in the Agenda Center was updated and with a new date, and it was reposted. So if somebody needed to go on to the places that they would get a link from that, they would have seen that it was a different date. We also, there is a link on the front page of the website that has the date of the meeting that will link you directly to the Zoom, to the agenda. And that date was changed. And we also posted a message on Facebook. So I think if people want real-time information about the town, and I understand it's hard to necessarily get all of the, to go search for it, I have signed up for the text messages. So as I was leaving, I was on vacation that day. So as I was leaving, I received a text telling me that the meeting was postponed. If you go onto the main page of the website and you click on the "How do I" little circle up in the upper right-hand corner, it will say, and you click on it, it will say sign up for alerts. Click on that and walk through. It takes you step by step how to do that. So I'm not sure, Sam, how we could have gotten more word out, especially when you consider that the final, we were teetering on the edge of a small meeting to a very, very small to not really worth it meeting, right? Because we would have had to repeat everything. I'm looking at you, Meg, because I think it was like 3:15 that we received notice of the last person. So we went from 4 to 3 people at the meeting.
No. I absolutely get that. And again, I'm not finding fault. But it was a problem. You know, I mean, some people didn't get the word, you know, and I know we do a lot to do that, but whatever we can do just to be, you know, really aware of that and try to make sure anything we can do is great. Hopefully everyone will sign up for these notices too, which would be great. Also, if it is a last minute meeting where we have, it's a Zoom thing, it'd be great to maybe have somebody camped out for 5-10 minutes to make sure if anybody pops in, they get the notice or something. I just don't know. Maybe Zoom has some way coming up, given how much, you know, exercise they're getting to put a notice up if something were canceled. I have no idea. But I just wanted to bring that up.
Thank you, Sam.
Was there going to be some mention about what we learned about the crosswalks?
Yep, I think we're going to do that next. So, Sophie, if you want to give us a update, town manager's update. Can't hear you again.
I'm sorry, were you waiting for me?
No, Lori, I'm waiting for Sophie.
Hear me now?
Not really.
Cindy, can you hear me now?
You're just starting to come in. Try it again.
Get it. Too much of an up close and personal.
There you go.
Is that all right? Okay. So as I informed counselors over the weekend, actually on Friday, Rob received an email from MDOT on Friday morning, letting him know that the guidance that we received this spring about painting crosswalks rainbowed was actually faulty guidance, and that they had updated the 2016 memo that was posted on their website at some point in 2019 and not changed what was on the website internally or externally. So when we contacted our traffic engineer contact at MDOT in Bangor, he gave us what he thought was current information, and it in fact was not correct. So on Friday, I had a conversation with Andrew Allen, who is our traffic engineer for this region that we deal most frequently with. And I also had a conversation with his boss's boss, would that be correct? Yes. About the the situation that they're inaccurate information put the town of Orono and the Orono Town Council in. And I thought I would just take a moment to read his email, if that works. Thank you for calling and explaining the details of the change in MDOT's crosswalk guidelines makes to the town of Orono, and that my slow response was disturbing, to say the least, for which I greatly apologize. I appreciate your and Rob's consistent efforts to seek technical information on issues, especially when accurate information is critical. We have looked at many questions and ideas over the years as to what the town can do, while looking for liabilities that come with each options, if there are options. In this particular matter, our policy had been longer than my 14-year tenure in traffic, with numerous discussions on the matter, that crosswalks must meet standard guidelines based on federal highway requirement, and multicolor was not an option. Choosing to paint something that was multicolor may leave the town with liabilities should a crash occur and lawsuits follow. At that point, I felt very confident that I was telling you what our current policy was. Unfortunately, it was not. You asking for information and taking this information to your council should have been straightforward and helpful in their decision-making process, but the policy had changed. While contacting the state traffic engineer this afternoon, some details on the change were found. We did some research, and the updates for policies were dated April 2019. However, it doesn't appear to be on our internal or external website. Now that it was discovered, the state traffic engineer at this point is requesting that the policy be put up on the website. At this point, as mentioned to Rob in a phone call to him, I expressed my apologies for not getting back sooner and was thankful for the reminder from Ash. Please pass along my apologies and this email, if you would like, to the council for any heartburn or confusion that this has caused. You and Rob have always taken great care to serve Orono, looking for creative ways to improve and help the community, and are a pleasure to work with. I look forward to working with you again, and am thankful that you have given me an opportunity to wipe the egg off my face. If you need anything else from me, please do not hesitate to contact me, as I would be happy to help. So, given this information, and we have the new technical guidance, I have had some conversation with Rob and with, I think, Sam about the desire to try to get something painted this summer, especially if August is the extra passport month, right? And I think we can do that within our existing budget. As we have this discussion, I need people to understand that Rob used all of the information available to him. He sought technical expertise. He followed up on that to look at the website and was shown a document that supported that expertise. He does an amazing job for us, and it is unfortunate that MDOT did not have their act together and were so disorganized. But I certainly hope that people do not look at this and think that Rob didn't do his job, because Rob did a great job, as he always does.
If I can comment, I absolutely agree. Rob, you did everything you could, and one would assume that the Department of Transportation is giving you accurate information. I know there was the possibility that Andrew would be here tonight to be able to explain this, and it's fine. I get it. Mistakes happen, but I think there's still some egg on his face. I think it'll be there for a while. And when he talks about heartburn and confusion that this caused, it caused more than that. I think it cost us some credibility with certain people in the community. I think it gave a false impression of our concern with this. I'm beyond disappointed with this, and this is great news, and I'm glad that we can hopefully go forward on this. But it also caused us to miss an opportunity to really show what the Orono spirit is, what our values are. And I just want to apologize to the community members who were really disappointed by this, and I hope they can understand where this error came from. But there are a lot of young people out there, some very young people, who would have tremendously love seeing some support for their friends or for things that they maybe are experiencing. So I'm glad we can move forward with this. But anyway, I just wanted to voice my my frustration and I guess anger at this too. And also I want to apologize to Rob for having to be put in this god awful spot of not being able to give us accurate information. I mean, I felt some heat. I'm sure you felt some heat and pressure, and that's never fun. So thank you for sticking with it. And thank you, Sophie, and thank you to all the council on this. I guess I'm done now. Thanks.
So Sophie, are the regulations now that we can paint any sidewalk, or is it still a particular one?
So we're talking about crosswalks, and it is, they have to be in a 25-mile-an-hour zone, Cindy. And talking with Rob, I think our preference for safety in our community would be that we try to do those at signalized intersections. So I think my request would be that we limit it to Main Street and the Park and College intersection, right? Rob, would be the two places that we could safely do that.
Well, I think, yes, Park and College and Mill and Main and Pine, those are all signalized. You could choose to put them at a crosswalk with the rapid flashing beacons, so that you've got a little bit of additional coverage on that. But ultimately, based on the guidance of from the DOT, as long as the speed limit's under 25 and you don't use retroreflectivity, so basically you don't put glass beads on it so that they don't become distracting at night, you could basically do it anywhere you want.
My recommendation, Cindy, is because Rob and I do not want to be in charge of colors for this. So I'm kind of thinking if we went back to that initial committee that we have to help us pick some colors and some locations, that might make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea, because I was thinking maybe the crosswalk that goes into Westwood, into the school, might be one of them in addition to Main Street. But I think I would request that we send it back to that group, and hopefully they can come up with something. Anyone else have any comments?
Just very briefly, I just want to say, I think it's very unfortunate that this happened the way it did, but also I think the silver lining in this is that council and staff did exactly what they were supposed to do, which is follow what we believed was the letter of the law and do what was in the best interest of the town in terms of protecting the town's liability. So even though it was disappointing and it turned out incorrect information, which is extremely unfortunate, we did do what we were supposed to do. And then the other silver lining is that the community just said, well, okay, what else can we do? And then this whole other thing happened, which has been amazing. So I'm glad that now we'll be able to add crosswalks to what Orono has already pulled off this summer, which is great.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of echo with Sam and Meg also, is that, Rob, I trust you at the utmost of most of our, like every staff member. And this is one of the things that I say, yeah, we're learning from this, but sometimes out of the gate, we may get information that somebody may be a little aggressive towards the people who are making the decisions based on information they receive. So you've received information, you were following those guidelines collectively as a town, and it's obviously not of anything that you did, because, and if there's ever a time when people feel that our staff members are always got the best interests of our town, this is a great example. And it worked out to where, unfortunately, like Megan and Sam have said, that there was misinformation, and but I always trust that our town's people and workers are always following the guidelines appropriately.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I just want to thank Rob. I thought he was a pleasure through the whole conversation we had about this, and he's always very clear about presenting what he knows, and it was a pleasure. And very glad to have this update that allows us to put in the crosswalks. It's wonderful.
Great. Sam?
Rob, I know you have you got a plan for everything, Rob, and I'm sure you don't have any idle time kicking around this summer. So, hey, want to go paint shopping? Is without crushing anything, is this something that may be able to magically happen at some point without screwing things up too much?
Sophie's nodding her head.
Yeah, I think we'll use that August date as a target, and I got to do a little bit of research on materials to try to figure out what the best kind of paint is going to be, and looking for some guidance on color for sure.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Sophie, do you have anything else in the town manager's update? No?
I'll have a great town manager's update on Thursday.
That sounds wonderful. All right, public petitions, we don't have any public comments. Belle, do we have any public comments?
Sorry, uncooperative mouse. No, we don't have any. Oh, we do. We have one hand raised, two hand raised. We have Sarah Marks and Bailey McLaughlin. Sarah Marks raised her hand first.
Okay. Go ahead, Sarah.
Okay, she is allowed to talk if she unmutes.
Sarah, can you unmute?
Perhaps we should go to Bailey and allow Bailey to talk while Sarah figures out technical difficulties.
Okay, sounds good. Bailey?
All right, I have allowed Bailey to talk.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi Council, thanks for sharing all this information today and hosting this meeting. I was just wondering if the Council could confirm that at the July 20th workshop, there will be some kind of discussion of the town's plans regarding racial justice and equity initiatives, specifically with regard to policing policies, whether at that meeting the town can outline specifics or provide the community with an update about plans. And then additionally, would it be possible to publicize that meeting agenda in advance for community members to kind of understand what will be discussed at that session? So thanks for your time.
Thank you, Bailey. Our meetings are always published. I don't know, I haven't seen the agenda, so I'm not sure what the 20th is looking like.
I have just got back from vacation, so I don't even know what the 20th is looking like right now. My sense, Cindy, is that in order to hit the timeline that we were talking about, having community conversations in July, in the fall, that we would need to have some discussion. I don't know what specifically. I think you and I need to talk about that.
Yeah, we haven't gotten together yet onto how that's going to look. But Bailey, we will definitely keep the community informed, and we will definitely be working towards this because we really want to hit the ground running in September when everybody is back to school.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for the information. I think it'd be great to have a date whenever the council knows one.
Sure.
So thanks so much.
Okay, thanks. Bill, is Sarah gone or?
Nope, we can try to, we'll allow her to talk again. So let me try this again. Sarah, you have been promoted to talk.
Okay, am I on now?
You are.
Hey, it worked. Great. Sorry, technological snafus. Thank you very much about the persistent follow-up, Rob and Sophie and everybody about the crosswalk stuff. It's so great that you I don't know, that you guys are so thorough about what you do and you got different information. That's very cool. I really do also like everything else that happened for Pride this month, or last month, but thanks to you all about that. I actually just wanted to follow up. Again, I second when Sam said that I know you guys do a super thorough job, and maybe it was just a problem with my access to the town council website for some reason, but I was one of those people on that meeting and I was not able to get on, and it was not updated on the agenda when I got on it a few minutes after the meeting was supposed to start, and actually didn't update until, I don't know, at least an hour after. So I'm just wondering if there was some delay in how things processed out to people. And I'm only giving that to you as information. It's not a complaint. I have more technological snafus at my house than probably anybody. So just wanted to share that on that, at least from my end, I was there and I was checking and nothing updated, and the rest of my internet was working. I was on a zillion other sites simultaneously. They were all updating. So something went wrong, at least for some citizens on that day.
So Sarah, one thing that can happen is that your browser stores a cache of the page. So unless you specifically refresh, it will continue to show you the information from the last time you kind of loaded the page.
Yeah.
So that can occur. And I mean, as Sophie said, we did have, we were scrambling to put out information all over the place. The agenda was probably the last thing that we got updated, but we did get the alert posted on the website and the Facebook page as soon as we knew about it.
Yeah, it's all great. As I said, it's not a complaint, it's just feedback. I did refresh like 6 different times. So something wasn't working, at least for some citizens. So just feedback, and it's not useful, don't take it. I also just wanted to ask if it is possible for council agendas and meeting times to be posted sooner than they are. They seem to me to most standardly show up on Fridays, and most of the meetings are on Mondays, or the agendas I see them show up like the Friday before the Monday meetings, which isn't a whole lot of planning time for other people to know if it's a meeting that has something that is of concern. So I keep wondering, I know in other places I've been, they're posted a week ahead, and I'm wondering if it's possible, even if they have to be updated, if there's changes, it would be helpful to me when I'm looking ahead, if I could see them sooner than Friday before the meeting. So that's your request.
So I would imagine, at least in my experience, Orono is unique in that their agendas contain the actual orders in their council meetings. And because it's got that level of specificity in the ordinance that governs the agenda, it tells us that we have to keep the agenda open and not close it and create an agenda until noon on Thursday, which makes it pretty hard to turn it around much faster. So council can absolutely make whatever decisions they want to make, but in comparing us with other communities, Sarah, I think a lot of places, their agendas are very bland and very blank, and what you have are very specified dates and times that we are going to meet. So, you know, council needs to decide how it wants to conduct its agendas and its business, but right now the guidance that at least staff has is in ordinance around council meetings and committee meetings. The level of agenda that is required is simply that we're going to meet. So, I don't know.
That's very helpful, Sophie. And I guess I would just ask council if you could take a look at that and consider maybe a 2-tiered system where some simpler agenda went up earlier. Because I really have started coming to many more meetings, which is great. I've really been enjoying hearing from all you guys. I know some of you personally, but it's lovely to see what work you're doing on the council and how great that is. But it is really hard to figure out, which days lie in my time to say, oh, they're talking about something I'm interested in at this meeting when it doesn't come out till that Friday. So anything, most general thing you could post earlier would be lovely. Thanks.
I just want to say, I think every meeting is riveting. So just come to all of them, Sarah. You never.
I'll try, Sam. I'll try. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Sarah. And I think we have learned a few things about, when we cancel a meeting, we probably will stay on a little bit longer just to make sure that everybody knows. And the agendas are hard, but I think that when we gets to some of the really hot, I don't want to say hot topics, but important topics that are coming up late summer, early fall, I think we will try and publicize that as much as we can. So we will keep everybody informed. Culverts usually don't get as much publication.
Cindy, we have Alex Collins with their hand raised.
Okay. Go ahead.
Hello there. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. Yeah, first off, I just wanted to say I appreciated how thorough and just essentially how thorough you were about the crosswalks discussion. It's good to see, my town council being, very in depth with these kinds of issues. But I also had a question kind of in a similar vein to Bailey's question about the police accountability issue. And I think the last time there was a public comment about this, there was discussion of a power DMS system to track police training and policies, where, this would be electronically tracked by the town. And I think Belle was talking about that, like kind of being put into place around July. Do you know what the progress is on that?
There's actually some policies that we have already loaded, and I'm trying to see if we have indeed publicized those in order to get those further out. But I know that we have identified the process that we will be using, and that will be, I would expect, be up soon. Our administrative assistant had been on vacation, and she's responsible for populating the page. So keep looking, and we'll make sure that we get a Facebook post out as soon as it's published.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex.
And we have one more hand raised, Sonia, and has been allowed to talk.
Wonderful, thanks so much. I really enjoyed hearing about the plans for an environmental committee. That's near and dear to my heart, so thank you for discussing that earlier. And sort of on the subject of committees, as you work toward a process looking at more conversations around racial equity and justice, and potentially a civil rights citizen committee or something like that. I just wanted to reiterate points that Sarah and Bailey have made more eloquently already about, I think it would be really helpful to know as far in advance as possible when a topic like that is going to be discussed. I'm showing up at this meeting because I'm fortunate enough to have free time, but I have a number of friends, some of whom are people of color, who would love to attend a meeting like that and provide input. And I'm kind of serving as like deputy person who has time to attend meetings to try to get information about when more folks would like to show up. So it would be really helpful, if you have a sense, like it's probably going to be discussed July 20th, that would be really helpful to know. And then I can, disseminate information to my friends accordingly. Thanks.
I think it's fair to say that it's going to be discussed at council workshop, because this has not been referred to any committee. So it's going to be at workshop, whether it's in July or a special workshop in early August. I don't know. I would assume it would be July.
So
wonderful. Thanks so much.
Yep. So we'll work on getting that. I'll work with Sophie to get a little bit more concrete so that we can give it as much advance notice as we can.
Sonia, did you sign up for messages and text alerts and that sort of thing, like we talked about earlier? Just do make sure you are, and I'd recommend that You have, okay, good. I see your message. Great. Great. Thank you, Sonia.
Okay. Anyone else?
That completes all the raised hands.
All right, great. Well, with that, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All right. Nancy, do you want to take this vote or can I do it by hand?
I believe you can do this one by hand.
All right, all those ready to adjourn. I got 2 hands by everybody. Thank you. Community development on Thursday. Take care.
Thanks, Cindy.
Yeah. Bye.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Good night.